Welcome to Devotions from Israel, a 5-minute word of encouragement. Today's devotion comes from 2 Samuel 20. Now, I suppose that this devotion could be called Don't Lose Your Head, and you'll know what I mean in just a moment. Sheba, the son of Bichri, was one who rebelled against David. The story is recorded in 2 Samuel chapter 20. David is king in Jerusalem, and Sheba wants to rebel against his kingdom. So the story unfolds this way. Sheba decides to go to the north, about 120 miles north of Jerusalem, even above the Sea of Galilee, right on the Lebanon border today to a site called Abel Beth Macaah. Now, this site has been exchanging hands between the Arameans and the Israelites several times, as the archaeology reveals. But as we read in 2 Samuel 20, Sheba was not so pleased with God's anointed and therefore rebelled, and perhaps he was seeking the advice of a wise woman. Now, this city was known to be faithful to Israel, and in fact, perhaps this Sheba character was wishing to find some wisdom or even some direction for his life. This is how the story in 2 Samuel 20 eventually unfolds. So Sheba passed through all the tribes of Israel to Abel Beth Macaah, and through the entire region of the Bichrites, who gathered together and followed him. Now all the troops with Joab came and besieged Sheba in Abel Beth Macaah. Joab would be the leader, the general, if you will, for David. Joab built a siege ramp up to the city, and it stood against the outer fortifications. I know when I was excavating there a few years ago, we were specifically looking for the outer fortification wall and the siege ramp as well. While they were battering the wall to bring it down, a wise woman called from the city, "Listen, listen, tell Joab to come here so I can speak to him." He went toward her, and she asked, "Are you Joab?" "I am." She said, "Listen to what your servant has to say." "I'm listening," he said. She continued, "Long ago they used to say, 'Get your answer at Abel,' and that settled it. We are a peaceful and faithful people in Israel. You are trying to destroy a city that is a mother in Israel. Why do you want to swallow up the Lord's inheritance?" "Far be it from me," Joab replied. "Far be it from me to swallow up or destroy. That is not the case. But a man named Sheba, the son of Bichri, from the Hill Country of Ephraim, has lifted up his hand against the king, against David. Hand over this one man, and I'll withdraw from the city." The woman said to Joab, "His head will be thrown to you from the wall." Then the woman went to all the people with her wise advice, and they cut off the head of Sheba, the son of Bichri, and threw it to Joab. And he sounded the trumpet, and his men dispersed from the city, each returning to his home, and Joab went back to the king in Jerusalem. What can we learn about this unique story? This guy lost his head, if you will, no pun intended, and the wise woman decided on his fate. Well, could it be that in our lives it's so important for us to seek good advice, good wisdom? In fact, I recently wrote in a book, we can never function within God's flawless plan and purpose if we willfully disregard his ways. This is why the role of godly wisdom in our lives is so important. We can be confident that genuine, honest connections with God begin by seeking wisdom rooted in the truth of Scripture, finding absolute, undistorted, real answers in life come by seeking godly wisdom from God himself, the source of wisdom. Proverbs says this in chapter 3, "Blessed is the one who finds wisdom, and the one who gets understanding, for the gain from her is better than gain from silver, and her profit better than gold." I hope that you're walking a life filled with wisdom, seeking God's advice, seeking God's direction, following his truth and his word. Of course, the outcome for Sheba was not very good, but the outcome for us when we do follow with godly wisdom, when we follow the ways of God, he blesses us with his presence and with a pathway that leads to life. So be encouraged as you seek wisdom today in God. Follow his ways, and may he direct your path. Until next time, shalom.